Alright then guys, welcome back to the Eagermans. In this video I want to talk about leveling up, okay, how you can become successful but at a faster rate, okay, not slowly, not gradually, but to the point where, people start to notice and they start saying things like, oh, you've changed, right? And the only way you should be replying to that is, yes, I have, right? Because that's the whole fucking point of this shit, but look, when it comes to becoming successful or leveling up in life, people think getting to the next level in life is about adding more, right? Like, for example, doing more tasks or chasing more goals or reading more books or taking on, different projects or whatever. But the truth is, and the secret to this, guys, is that it's more about subtraction as opposed to addition. Like, it's not about doing more, it's about doing less and doing it better, right? Like the 80-20 rule I spoke about in my previous video. Like 80% of the results come from 20% of the work that you do. So you have to identify that 20% and pretty much double down on it, because that's what's going to make you efficient, right? That's where the real growth comes from. It doesn't come from adding things to your life. It comes from removing everything that's keeping you average, that's weighing you down, right? And so you have to understand the power of subtraction at some point, right? Like, your life doesn't need more stuff, it needs less bullshit, right? Like, most men try to add success on top of chaos, right? They want to go to the gym, they want to build discipline, they want to get rich, but their days are full of distractions, right? And cheap, I don't know, dopamine and people who drain them. So doesn't it make more sense to cut down on that first so you have energy to spend on things that matter? Right? Like, you don't need a new routine or another productivity hack, right? You need to remove the habits that make you weak, right? Remove the people who slow you down, right? Remove the excuses you tell yourself every night before going to bed or before doing anything important, right? And scaling your life is very similar to scaling a business, right? It's not about doing more. It's about raising your standards so high that mediocrity becomes intolerable, right? You stop accepting half-hearted effort from yourself. Like, you have to get ruthless with yourself and set the bar up there. Like, you stop saying it's fine when you clearly it's not, right? If your life is miserable, then how can things be okay? They're not. So you have to start demanding more from the man in the mirror. Like, you have to change your frame, right? The way you see yourself. Okay. In business, that means changing the goal. So the company sees itself differently, right? And in life, it means changing the lens through which you see yourself, right? If your goal is just to get a bit fitter or make a bit more money, right, your brain will only look for small wins, right? Because you haven't set the bar high enough, right? So you do the bare minimum, right? Because your goal is small, right? But when you set a massive goal, something that feels impossible, like, I don't know, transforming your entire body, right? Or completely reinventing who you are, suddenly your frame shifts. The moment you look in the mirror, you've got one hell of a mountain to climb, so you better get going. Like, from that point onwards, every decision, right? Every action, every little thing that you do, you start thinking about it more carefully, right? You start filtering it through that bigger vision. So, and like, you start asking yourself things like, does this move me closer to the man I want to be or not? Right? And if it doesn't, then you just won't do it, right? And that's how you start leveling up, okay? By changing your frame of reference. I think that's super important, and I think that's what most of us miss out on. That's what we don't realize. Like, big goals force you to stop tolerating small habits, right? There's an element of ambition there, right? And raising your standards, like, it's me saying raise your bar is very similar to sort of me asking you to become more ambitious. But like, I'll give you my personal example, right? When I started the Eager Minds, guys, I just wanted to launch a lifestyle supplement that combined the ingredients I was already taking, right, separately. Things like ashwagandha, shilajit, fenugreek seed, lion's mane, etc. The sort of stuff that boosts my testosterone, helps me focus, improves my mood, overall vitality. And I thought, let me just put that all in one formula and sell it, right? But recently, I had this moment where I was like, no, fuck that. Like, I don't just want to sell a supplement. I want the Eagerman to become so big that it has its own store on, I don't know, Oxford Street in the next 5 years. Like, that's how visionary I've become, and that goal, it feels ridiculous right now, right? But that's exactly why it's powerful. Because once I set that vision, suddenly everything I do, right, the videos, the content, the brand, right, the website, it all has to live up to that level, right? And my brain started working at a much faster rate now, because I know I have to get there. So I have to think of ways that will take me there, right? It's not just about staying in front of a camera and talking. It's much more than that. Like, my standards went up overnight, and the same thing can happen to you. Like, you have to understand the significance of raising your floor, right? Stop tolerating mediocrity. Like, your life doesn't rise to the level of your goals, right? It falls to the level of your standards. Okay, that's what raising your floor means, right? Most men's floors are way too low. Okay, they tolerate being tired every day, right? They tolerate being with a woman they don't love. They tolerate being in a job they hate, right? They tolerate junk food, porn, right? Skipping workouts, scrolling TikTok for hours. They tolerate average effort, right? Like, and then they wonder why they live average lives, right? When you raise your floor, you eliminate everything beneath your standards. Okay, you stop negotiating with weakness, right? It's not about perfection, it's about minimum standards so high that the average version of you can't survive there anymore. Like, do you see where I'm coming from? Like, setting that bar up there to the point where you're like, fuck, I can't continue to be the way I am, or else there's no way I'm going to reach that level, right? And when you do that, your floor becomes your new baseline, right? And your growth becomes inevitable. It just becomes inevitable because you just won't let anything get in the way of it, right? And if you do, then you don't deserve to get there. Does that make sense, right? So you have to utilize on the power of focus, right? And cutting the noise and the bullshit and the stuff that doesn't add any value. Like, once you remove the noise, you're left with clarity, right? When your room is clean, your mind feels clear, right? When your phone is silent, your thoughts start to organize themselves, right? And life works the same way. Like, when you eliminate these little distractions, right? Partying every weekend, mindless scrolling, or even wasting energy on people who don't care or who don't really offer much value to you, right? You finally create the space to focus on one path, and that's where you start to move fast, right? Not because you're doing more, but because you've just cut away everything that slows you down. You know, there aren't things that are weighing you down any longer. Like, you've liberated yourself from all that shit, and so the thing I'm starting to realize is that the size of your goals determines your speed, right? Like, your brain, it filters reality based on the goals you set for yourself, right? So if your goal is small, then, like, your brain will look for small solutions, right? But if your goal is massive, something that feels almost impossible, your brain starts thinking at a completely different scale. It's like what I said earlier with the Eagermans, right? Now it's not just about sitting in front of this camera and talking and doing these little things here and there. My goal is up there right now, so I have to think at that level. Like, I'll give you an example, right? If your goal is to make an extra 1,000, right, this month, you'll think about working overtime, right, cutting expenses, and doing whatever you can to save money, right? And I feel like that's small thinking. Or at least if you were to compare that to, let's say, a goal of making £1,000, this year, right? Suddenly you start asking yourself better questions, right? What can I build, right? What can I sell, right? What's a system that can earn while I'm sleeping, right? Like, do you see what I mean, right? The questions you ask yourself change, right? And so when you raise the goal, when you raise your standards, right, your brain has no choice but to evolve and to think at that level. And sometimes you have to create an impossible timeline, because I feel like it just creates pressure, and that's good. It builds you, right? Diamonds are built under pressure. Like, people set a big goal, but they give themselves forever to achieve it, right? And I think that's a trap, right? Like, if you give yourself 5 years to do something, right, your brain acts like it has 5 years, right? You waste time, you overthink, you tweak details that don't matter, right? But if you give yourself 6 months, even when it sounds insane, right, suddenly every day matters, and you act with a degree of urgency, right? You stop procrastinating and you start cutting. You just start working ruthlessly towards your goal. It's like what Elon Musk said, right? Ask yourself how you can accomplish your 10-year goal in 6 months, right? You will probably fail, but you will be ahead of the person who simply accepted the fact that it's going to take 10 years, right? And like that's what I mean. Like, you might fail, but you will be way ahead than you had you just accepted that it's going to take 10 years or 3 years or 12 months or whatever. It's like Parkinson's law, right? Work expands to fill the time you give it, right? An impossible deadline creates pressure, like, and pressure is what turns potential into progress, right? You move differently when the clock's ticking, right? So, set your impossible goal and give it an impossible timeline. Like, that combination will turn you into a completely different man. I've told myself that the Eagerman's product should be out before the end of this year, right? Or early next year. And now I'm working ruthlessly hard towards releasing that supplement. Like the formula is out, and it's just a matter of time now, right? And you have to also quit like what holds you back, right? Again, goes back to that 80-20 rule as well. Like most of your progress, right? Whether that's in fitness, career, mindset, corporate job, whatever it is, it comes from a few core things that you're doing, right? Like 20% of your actions give you 80% of your results, right? What about the other 80%, right? Most of the times it's just noise, it's comfort, it's distractions disguised as progress, right? Your job is to find that 20% that's actually making the difference, right? The habits, right? That move you forward, and sort of double down on them, right? And the rest, just cut it. Just cut it. It's like 80% of your emails are probably useless, right? It's only the 20% that matter. So, leveling up quickly isn't about adding more tasks. Like, the point I'm trying to make is it's about having the courage to quit what's holding you back, and that requires a degree of awareness as well. But I think the path of subtraction can take you there, right? If you want to level up so quickly people fear you, stop trying to do everything. Simple as. You can't juggle between 10 different balls at the same time, right? You just raise your standards, right? Remove the noise, and set impossible goals and impossible deadlines, and work ruthlessly towards achieving them. Like, that's it, because it doesn't happen when you add more. It happens when you finally let go of everything that keeps you small. Okay, and once you cut those metal chains that are holding you to the ground, you reach new heights. And it's something, and I'm speaking from personal experience. Like, I've made more progress in the last 3 months, guys, than I have in the 6 or 9 or 12 months before that, only because I just set an impossible goal for myself and started working ruthlessly towards it. And I feel like this is how you get there. This is how you become successful at an exponential rate. This is how you just get to that level in a short amount of time, by raising your bar, by raising your standards, and then working ruthlessly towards getting there. So I hope you got some value from this video, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.